Hi, so this week's column is about summer brights. You notice that at the start of spring all the department stores fill up with really bright makeup, too bright in my opinion. Quite often it's sort of mad colours that you would never wear, like hot pink eyeshadow and bright orange lipstick and that sort of thing. So my aim with this week's column was to just filter through the crazy neon kind of teenagey stuff and find some bright, colourful palettes that work on women with normal clothes in normal jobs over the age of 15. So here I've gathered together a selection of palettes that I like, and I'm just going to show you quite quickly how you can use colour with eyeshadow when perhaps you're not normally used to it, or you're not normally used to wearing eyeshadow. It's really nice to inject a bit of colour into your makeup, even when you're not particularly used to it. I think you might be surprised. And it's not like it used to be, where you had to blend together loads of kind of rainbow colours to look like a sort of big prism effect. Just choose a key colour and maybe one or two shadows in that colour, and it can really sort of lift your face, and you can keep everything else really, really neutral. It's not like you have to do the whole, what brands seem to be suggesting you do, where you're wearing, you know, bright pink over here and orange over here and lime green over here. Just choose one colour and then keep everything else nice and pared down and neutral, and you'll actually find it's a really versatile look. So I have chosen green. I love green eyeshadow. I love blue eyeshadow as well. I know that people think of it as a bit dodgy, but I so disagree. It's all about how you put it on and the colours you choose. So I'm going to go for green today. You can choose whatever colour you fancy. The general rule of thumb is, or accepted wisdom, is that you don't choose a colour that's the same as your eye colour. The idea that your eye colour won't kind of pop out and sort of stand out if you use the same colour shadow. I sort of agree with that, but it really depends what shade you use. Nobody's got lime green eyes, nobody's got navy blue eyes. So as long as it's a different enough shade, I think you're generally safe. I'm not keen on brown eyes with brown shadow, just because it sort of looks a bit murky. But when we're talking about colour, very few people have the eye colour of a bold eyeshadow. So I think you're relatively safe. I've got green eyes. I'm going to use green eyeshadow. I think that's totally fine. And I'm going to show you a very, very, very simple way of doing it now. Okay, so you want to start with a sort of beige, creamy beige sort of shadow generally, like this one here. Most women have got this kind of eyeshadow. In fact, for lots of women, this is the only eyeshadow they own, this sort of beige biscuity colour. And it's brilliant. That's the sort of colour eyeshadow I use every day, but also it's the perfect base for colour when you want a bit more going on. Take a brush. I'm using this one here for the whole lid. I've said this before, but generally if you're applying things that are powdery, you want something with natural bristles that kind of feels like the hair on your head. If you're applying something creamy, like a cream blush or a cream eyeshadow, you want a synthetic brush, sort of nylon bristles. So I'm using powder today, so I've got a natural bristled brush. As you can see, it's quite a big one, and it's rounded. The rounded edge is really important because it just fits right in your eye and gives you nice sort of rounded edges instead of hard sort of spiky lines. So I'm going to take my cream eyeshadow, load up the brush, tap off the excess. Always best to load up the brush, then tap off the excess, rather than stroke a lot onto the surface of the brush, because it'll all come off in the first go and look really sort of messy. Better to have a brush full of eyeshadow. Okay, so this cream goes everywhere. It goes all over your eyelid, from top to bottom. Short brush strokes just to load the colour in. This one's got a slight shimmer to it, as you can see, but you can use a matte one if you prefer. That's totally fine. And the great thing about this is you need to be in no way neat and tidy. It's so forgiving. And you might think, oh well, you know, that colour hardly shows up, what's the point? It just means that your colour that you're going to put over the top will blend more smoothly, because powder blends into more powder better than powder on bare skin. And seeing as this is the foolproof one, better to put this down first when it doesn't matter really how it goes on. And the colour has a nice surface to go onto. So you then need to choose your colour. I really love this palette. In fact, it's featured in the column. You can see it's been quite well used. I'm wearing this one in the photograph this week actually, so if you like those colours, this is what it is. It's NARS's Cap Ferrat. And I'm just going to use these two, not the blue. I'm not going to use the blue because it just really matches my dress, which I always think looks a bit strange. Better to go for something contrasty. I'm not mad about matchy-matchy. So this time, I'm going to take a smaller brush. It's almost identical to the last brush. It's just smaller because I don't want the colour to go all over my eyelid. I just want it to go over my lids. So instead of just going straight into it, as I did with the base colour, I'm now going to do this. I'm going to take some face powder, any old face powder. Don't worry about it being kind of posh face powder. I mean, I always use this one, Clinique Gentle Light, it's fantastic, but don't worry if you haven't got a nice one at home. You are literally just putting this on under your eye to catch dust. That's all it's there for. Going to take it off at the end because we don't want particles of green falling onto our faces and then us not being able to get them off. Whereas if it falls into powder, you can then sweep it away at the end without mess. Okay, so now we've done, put the powder down, we're ready to apply colour. So I've got my green palette again. I've got my small brush that I showed you, and we're going to choose the lighter of the two green colours because we're going to use this dark green later on as a liner. So stroke the brush in the light green, load up the brush really well, but then tap off the excess. These are quite soft, these shadows, which make them easier to blend, but you don't want shadows that are too soft because they just don't leave any colour behind on the eyelid. They just flake off as you put them on. Okay, so I've got my light green. And now I'm going to stroke that green just on the lower part of the lid to what's called the socket line, which is this line here where basically is where your eyeball finishes. And if you can see, it's just a really sheer wash of colour. It's not dense at all. Anybody can wear this. It's not scary, sort of punky colour. And take it right down to your lash line. Don't worry if it falls on your lashes because you can always put on mascara later and cover it up. Again, this is why these round edges on brushes are so important, I think, in that they go right down in the creases and they make nice rounded shapes instead of hard lines. Just stroke it. I'm doing this a lot slower than you would because I want you to see, but it really is just a 10-second job. So you can just see it sort of peeping through when my eyes are open. And if you want, you can take it a little tiny bit past the line so that when your eyes are open you can see the colour at all times. That's your call really, it depends how bold you want to be. Now I want a liner. Now there are two ways of doing this and it really depends where I'm going as to what I do. If it was daytime I would now just use a dark green liner, the dark green shadow with a liner brush to add definition. If I was going out at night, I would put on a normal eyeliner pencil, like a chocolate brown. I love chocolate brown with blue and green. A normal liner pencil, then smudge over it with the darker green. And I think that looks really nice. If you want to keep things more sheer, you can just skip this next step. So just line your eyes as you normally would. Right, whereas I would normally, now just for daytime, just smudge the liner to make the line look smudgy and neat, and then put my mascara on and go. This time, I'm going to smudge it with a clean brush, then I'm going to smudge it again with the dark green. So this is what I would do normally. Just smudge everything together with a clean brush. And you can keep cleaning your brush on the back of your hand. So now you get a lining brush. It's up to you what type you like. Some people like these sort of really fine ones. They're the ones I use for smudging eyeliner. Or you can get these really short, stubby ones. It's entirely up to you. Taking the dark green, load up the brush, tap off the excess. And now just go over the line you just drew, smudging some more as you go. See those flakes there are falling down on my skin? That's fine because we've got too much powder on there and that's there to catch it. Then, if you want to take it down at all, just get a clean brush. And keep smudging. But the joy of these sorts of colours is they're shimmery and sheer. So you're never really going to overdo it the way you are with sort of heavy matte makeup artist type colours. Then take your powder brush, pop a little more powder on it because powder lifts powder as we established earlier, and just sweep with a big fat brush, sweep away the powder, and it will take with it all the little fragments of eyeshadow with it, little specks. Check that you're happy with how much colour you have on. See, that's just right for me. But you can layer on more if you're going for a real kind of strong party look, or you can bring it down with a clean brush, or you can skip the pencil part altogether for a much subtler look and just go straight to the powder. Then put on your mascara. I'm not putting on top lash mascara because I've got eyelash extensions in. You don't wear mascara with eyelash extensions. But I am wearing mascara on the bottom. This is Clinique's Bottom Lash Mascara, which is just one of my favourite inventions. And it just gives you some definition on the bottom lashes. And of course you're bound to have bits of eyeshadow that have fallen on your lashes, and sometimes it can make them get a bit lost. So mascara is really important to blacken things up again. Okay, so I've got my mascara on and got my colour on. I've also put my blusher and my lipstick on. You'll notice that my blusher and lipstick are quite kind of neutral. I must say this is my preference when I've got colourful eyes. I prefer to keep everything a bit pared down. Wearing like a red lipstick or something with bright green eyeshadow or bright blue eyeshadow looks lovely in a magazine, but I think in real life it can just look a bit sort of draggy, a bit try-hard. I think it's prettier if you go for like, you know, a rose lipstick or an apricot kind of peachy lipstick and peachy blush. In general, I like to match cheeks and lips as well. So if you're wearing a peach lipstick, wear a peach blusher, and if you're wearing a pink lipstick, wear a pink blusher, and so on. A few thoughts about colour. I mean, I think it's just, maybe it's just me, but I really hate pink and blue together. I can't stand it. To me, it just feels really little girl. So if I'm wearing, say, navy blue eyeshadow, which I quite often do, I'll always have a peach blusher on, not a pink one. And I tend to keep pink for if I'm wearing green or purple or that sort of thing. Something about pink and blue that sort of skeeves me out slightly. I don't really know why. So I'll tend to do green with pink, as I've done today, or blue with peach. but it's really, really your call. And if you're wary of colour, if you're still a bit scared of colour, maybe just go for sort of sludgier colours. So there's a green eyeshadow here by NARS, and it's just sort of a sludgy khaki. It's a really, really lovely colour, but less, whoa, I'm wearing colour. It's a lot more kind of pared down and subtle, and you might just find that you prefer to wear that all over your eyelid and just a brown eyeliner or something. But like I say, I've really layered on liner and colour here today. If you wanted more of a toned down look, you could just skip the liner. I do, however, think, you know, it's really, really wearable, especially if you're keeping everything else neutral. And it is summer, and everything's a bit more colourful, so I reckon go for it. So let me know how you get on with that technique in the comments section. Thanks very much. Bye.